John, you've talked about it before about getting calloused over some after you go over some things. After so many comebacks, do you almost, when you get in that situation, is there less like, hey, we're used to this kind of situation, kind of like at the atmosphere towards another comeback yesterday?
I'm sure there is. I mean, like anything else, you get experience with something, you get more comfortable in that type of a situation. So I think our guys are content in every circumstance right now, every football circumstance, and determined to try to find a way to win.
John, we didn't ask you about it yesterday after the game just because there's so much talk about the dramatics in the end, Huntley and Lamar. How significant was it for Nick Boyle to be back on the field? What did it mean from an emotional standpoint, just knowing how much he's gone through, and from a football standpoint? It seemed like you ran the first two plays right behind him or right in his vicinity.
Right. It really wasn't probably the dynamic for the two plays, but it sure turned out well that way. I think it's fitting. It was great to see him back. What he's been through, he can explain it to you so much better, but I've seen him in here every day just through all the frustration and the agony of range of motion. You guys who've had these surgeries, you know how hard all that is, and getting the strength back, and even just getting ready to play the last few weeks when he was closer but not quite there. And it was great to see him back. He played well. He's only going to get better. The game moves fast, and he's only going to get better and better as he gets more comfortable on that knee.
Hey, Coach, week after week, Lamar Jackson has been getting the credit, overcoming all the games. What does it tell you for Tyler Huntley? First game in the NFL, 6 sacks, cutting his eye, but he still maintained composure until the very end, and especially the last drive, which was the victory for the game.
Right. That's probably maybe the biggest story about Tyler is how he did keep his composure, and it wasn't too big for him, and he made plays down the stretch, especially overcame adversity. But all these, you talk about credit. You mentioned credit. All these things are always team efforts. It always takes the team, every aspect of the team, different guys doing different things. That's the beauty of football, and the way our guys hung together and fought together is really the story.
John, these guys didn't get a chance to ask you about Marquise yesterday. Were you optimistic that he would play coming out of Friday practice, or was it always going to be iffy?
Impossible question to answer. I'm optimistic and hopeful, and it's always iffy. So it's all the above, really. It's not really an or. You're hopeful, and he didn't make it.
We saw a couple of plays, like trips on the right, Boyle, Andrews, and Patrick Ricard. Is that like a return of a three-headed monster, probably?
I hope so. I sure hope so. I hope it becomes a monster that people have to contend with.
John, along those lines, the bunch trips set that you guys had that used Sammy to get open, I think you had a similar kind of formation against the Chiefs that led to Hollywood getting wide open for that kind of jump pass from Lamar. I guess what is it about that set that really stresses defenses?
Well, bunch formations are tough. We deal with them all the time on defense as well, especially if you motion in and out or you shift guys on and off the ball or you change up who's lined up where. It messes with your matchups. A lot of times defenses will have, you can lock it, and 3 guys have 3 guys. Usually the point is pressed. Sometimes you can put the point man on 2 or 3. Sometimes you can lock one of the guys and in and out the other 2 guys. Sometimes you can 3-way the whole thing, and sort it that way. So, but there's communication, especially when things happen fast on the run, or you're coming out of the huddle like we were and going no huddle. And they just messed up the communication, and 2 guys covered 1 guy, and Sammy popped open.
Coach, when you win a game like you did yesterday, shorthanded, especially with your quarterback being out, of course you give credit to the players, but do you as coaches take time to give yourself credit, considering that's a game that half the league probably would have lost?
Pat ourselves on the back? Never, ever. You go home, and you're happy, and you, in my case, my wife's there. Allison was at the game, so I got to spend some time with her after, talked to her on the phone driving home. That's what you do to me. You talk to your family, and it's great to win. It's hard to win in the National Football League. It's a big challenge. Anybody that thinks you should go out there and win every team should win every game, that's even more impossible than answering one of Child's questions. That's tough. So, that's you take a moment. I just think you just try to enjoy it. Enjoy the incredible, and then back to work on Monday.
John, how's Lamar feeling today? I know a lot of people were eager to find out.
Yeah, he felt good today. I don't know how good, but he was feeling much better today from what I was told. I haven't seen him.
John, on the 4th and 11 touchdown, I mean, everyone's going to second guess when you give up a play like that. But in that situation, deciding how aggressive to be, how much does the score, knowing that a field goal, you don't have the lead anymore, and the clock really factor in there, knowing that they can drive down the field, kick a field goal, and have no time left?
I mean, all of it has to do with that. And you make a good point. Sometimes, sometimes a quick outcome is okay either way. You can go back to the end of the Browns game last year when they went down the field and scored so quick. It was better that they scored quick than scoring slow. Sometimes a quick death is better because, you're not dead yet. So we weren't dead yet after that play, which is the good news. We had numerous other zeros in there. Zero was our call that game. We change it up situationally and game to game, but zero was our call in those various situations in the game plan. We stuck with the game plan. Number of them worked. That one really, really easily could have worked. We were a little late with one of our blitzers, and we were, a little too aggressive at the sticks with Chris, But and they made a play. So if you think back, Andy Dalton, right? Am I speaking out of turn if everybody says Andy Dalton? Here we go, right? The fan base. Okay, not everybody. Ingrid mentioned the same thing to me. Laura Martindale told him, So, but the last time that happened, when he was with the Bengals, we ran out into Tampa 2, and it was a 4th and 12 touchdown. So this was an all-out zero blitz, which we've had some success with, and they got it. So, they got it, but our guys overcame it.
How do you coach up Chris Westry, and not just in correcting that, but also you guys showed a lot of confidence in making that call. That's his first NFL start, hasn't played a whole lot.
Yeah, he had so many good plays in the game, and there were other things, there's little technique things that, that he's a young player, and playing corner is all about technique and talent and discipline. You got to be locked in every play. It's a tough job, and those are things he's really going to learn from in the best kind of way because he's very conscientious. In that particular one, you want to play the sticks, but you want to give a little ground when the receiver's moving north on you, and then you got to be ready to put a foot in the ground and break because usually the ball comes out quick. Ball came out a little later than we would have wanted it to, or it wouldn't have been an issue. And he got a little heavy at the sticks because he's thinking about stopping the first down. His eyes were better than I thought. When I saw the tape, his eyes were a little better than I thought. But he lost vision late on the receiver, and then obviously got behind him. So that's what happened.
John, what's impressed you about Westry? He was a training camp standout, coming back from injury, playing as many snaps as he did.
Yeah, he played 50, 60 snaps in the game and played hard. I just think he's a great young man. He really works hard. He's very talented, very conscientious, really, really wants to be good, was very upset about giving up the play. There was some consoling going on even after the game with the win in the locker room, but those are the moments that you just, in some ways you treasure them, because it's a great learning experience, but it's also just a great growing experience, and, it's kind of a privilege as a coach to be a part of that a little bit, the response to events. So he's going to be fine.
John, I know you never think about, you never think about giving up a touchdown is a good thing, but did you think about, if they didn't get the touchdown, you have the roughing the passer, and then they have the ability to run more clock off and maybe kick a game-winning field goal? Have you thought about that at all or no?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, in the locker room after the game, the guys were getting on. The defense, the outside backers were getting on Adafe about it was a bad roughing the passer, and it really shouldn't happen in a situation like that, and he'll learn from that also. But by the same token, it was, it turned out okay, So.
John, do you expect Avery to be out for long? I know he showed up on the injury report. I think it was on Friday with the call.
Do not expect him to be out long. It's not a serious hamstring, quote-unquote, injury. He just got to the game. I actually thought he would play in the game. He got to the game, went out there and tested it, and just didn't feel like he could go.
John, you guys are going to have a lot more divisional games down the stretch here starting this weekend, and everyone in the division is still above 500. Is this as tough top to bottom as you remember it being? Yeah,
it's just a great division. I just have been in this division now for many years, and it's always like that. It really doesn't really matter what the records are. It's still always really, really tough to play these games. Yet now everybody's above 500, and everybody's in it. So and all the games are now at the end between all of us. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Where'd you get the sweatshirt? And also just faith has been a big part of you and your coaching tenure. It seems like maybe more this year. Has it taken a bigger
well,
question on faith?
I would like to think that through the course of our lifetime, events transpire that grow our faith, and don't undermine our faith. I'm sure Some cases it does, but a friend of mine gave me this sweatshirt at the beginning of the season, and kind of portended some things. He's like, he kind of said that, he goes, I'm telling you, this is going to be meaningful, and it's really warm and comfortable too. But yeah.
You talk in the locker room about faith in God as well after the game, and Marlon Humphrey was telling us after the game that it started everything before the game speech that you gave them. It was very touchy, and they started everything in there. Can you share a little bit of that?
Oh, the talk the night before?
Yeah.
It was short and sweet, man. It was just about what it was going to take to win the game, and I mentioned turnovers. I mentioned the block punt, which turned out to be prophetic. So that was cool. But our guys understand what's required. You don't have to say much to them. Just try to hit on some of the main points. And I like to talk about how we're going to play as much as what we're going to do is how we're going to play. And if we're going to kind of match up to our personality and that, and try to give them a lot of confidence. In terms of, man, you believe in a bunch of guys. You want to see them believe in themselves and go be who they are. And be them. And our guys do a good job of that. So that was it.
In that regard, I mean, what did you see from the Jalen Ferguson, being able to come in and get a handle on that punt?
That was great. Yeah, that was they were trying to cover, and Jalen gave him a little fake block, like he was going to hold him up and rush, move, that we practice a lot. And then James Prochet had an up and under move. He was right there too, with a 3-step up and under. So it's great to see those guys, get a piece of action. It made a big difference. I mean, to get a couple times we had the block punt. We had the stop, we had turnover early in the game on the sack fumble. I mean, those were just game-changing plays for us in a tight, low-scoring game.
John, Marlon's talking about guys coming and going. He didn't really know who was going to be out there. He wasn't just talking about Lamar. He was talking about, I guess, Averett and other guys. When you guys are making the decisions of the inactives, how frantic was it the morning of the game when you have guys working out on the field, see if they can play? You have the Lamar situation. You said this week was like any kind of unique in that way. What was it like pregame?
It was frantic. We had 53 on the roster, this week, which made the math a little easier for me anyway. And it was kind of not knowing if Lamar was going to be there, and then Anthony, and there might have been another guy or two I'm forgetting about. But it's just been that way all year. It's been that way all year. Every single week has been a challenge in terms of who's going to be up and down. So we've got to get everybody ready. Our coach has done a great job of that. Preparing really the whole roster to play, because it's turned out to be you got to be ready to play. Our Darius came in and played 6 plays on defense, played some plays on special teams, and it wasn't like he would have thought at the beginning of the week he was going to be playing. So I really got to credit our coaches and the players for doing that.
Be able to come back this season.
Yeah, he should be able to come back this season. It's kind of a cleanup scope, so it's a short-term IR.
John, with Lamar, is the expectation for him to be able to participate in tomorrow's walkthrough?
The hope is, I want to say expectation because, who knows? Yeah, I'm very hopeful.
All right. John, were you able to, I know you can't choose your schedules, but were you able to overlap at all with your brother, with him coming to Maryland for the game in college football?
I wasn't. I was going to try to run down there, and then the combination of getting out of here, closer to 6 on Friday, and their schedule, and then, traffic. I started thinking about traffic. I was kind of like, hey, he really doesn't need me, I think he's going to be able to get by without my help. But that was a great win for Michigan, and now they got a big game coming up. All right, thanks everybody.